It's like ooh la la, ooh la la. It's not hard to say how I feel. It's like ooh la la, it's kinda easy now cause it's real. Hey. Na 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 na. 4 or 1,000, there's no adding up the number. So many feelings, gotta let it out, not under. Keep me guessing, keep me guessing, keep me guessing, keep me guessing. It's like ooh la la, ooh la la. It's not hard to say how I feel. Ooh la la, ooh la la. It's kinda easy now cause it's real. It's like ooh la la, ooh la la. It ain't hard to say how I feel. It's like ooh la la, ooh la la. It's kinda easy now cause it's real. Gonna say how I feel, cause I know that it's something real. Gonna say how I feel, cause I know that it's something real. Hey, hey. Gonna say how I feel, cause I know that it's something real.
Hi everybody, how are you? Oh, my goodness, Angie, you rocked it, girl. You guys, let's give her a round of applause. Yay, that was so awesome. Man, you really took that sumei to heart and did a great job, and your Dutch pour. Whew, my goodness. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. So much fun. Yay! So we have the troops are here tonight. We've got Deirdre, we've got Janice, we got Gloria, we got Janet. Let's see, Angie's here, Nathan's here. Let's see, who am I missing? Joanne, I saw. I'm going backwards on my scroll here, which is pretty funny. Hope it doesn't go backwards for you when I do that. I never thought of that. I'm sure it doesn't. It must still go forward. Yay, yeah, she just did so well. That was really it was fun. It was really fun. Gloria, good to see you here. Deirdre, is it getting any warmer over there, Deirdre? I hope so. Janet, oh, spanked the thumb. My goodness. Broken thumbs. No broken thumbs here. Hi, Nathan, how are you? Good to have you here. And ooh la la, yeah, it was really inspiring. Helen's here, and Janice, yeah, goodness gracious, yes, yeah, oh yeah, the changes. That's true. It did. It did kind of go kaboom. But that's the loveliness of live. It always leaves us hanging when we kind of miss that. What happened? What was that? We have to come back for more. Oh my goodness. So, I know, okay, Nathan has a good point here. Do you all watch more YouTube TV than TV these days? Because he does. I do too. There's only a couple of okay, so yeah, I'm a RuPaul Drag Race and Project Runway. Those are taped, and then I binge watch kind of things. And that's what I do. I don't watch a whole lot of other things. Gosh, it's just once in a while I'll binge watch HGTV if I'm feeling like I need to do something, but it's usually my sisters will do that, or I'll, but usually I hop on and I find different, like, I'm in photography. I am Nick Page, Thomas Heaton, Adam Gibbs, Simon Booth. Who else do I watch? Photo Tripper, Gavin Hardcastle. Those guys, I watch them all the time. We're laughing because Bob made steak for dinner and he gave these bones to a little bone to Aldo. And Aldo's just like, he's so overcome with it. He's like whimpering and doesn't know where he's trying to bury it in the couch. And then he's like, he's overcome. He'll go into a bone coma pretty soon. Like, But so those are who I watch for photography. And then, like I said, Art Wolf too and stuff, but Art only comes on once a month. Technique wise, people, I'm kind of selective about who I watch on during doing like Lightroom and stuff like that, because I know it so well. And if there's something new, I'll grab my Matt Klekowski, I think is his name, and then, but I also go with Creative Live. I do a lot of that stuff. But yeah, and then it's pouring. You know, I'll watch pouring in the evening to kind of wind down and relax. It's the way I do it. So, hi Joanne, yay. Okay, as I told Helen, the big fella is the center of tonight's story, which she lives in the Northwest now. She's here. She knows who the big fella is. We commonly and kindly refer to Mount Rainier as the big fella. And that is who the center of our story is tonight. If you saw the beginning at all, you saw the very last picture. I'll see if I can go back and stop it. I'll start it here. There we go. Okay. The background video is when I got off of Canva, but these two photographs are photographs I took of Mount Rainier. This is from Highway 410 on the east side, looking at they call it Reflection Lake now. I refer to it as Lake Tipsu because that's how I grew up knowing it. Back here earlier, this picture is also Reflection Lake or Lake Tipsu with Mount Rainier. This photograph here on the right hand side, which I keep forgetting you guys can't see my cursor probably. Maybe you can. This was taken, the one with the water in front, from the ferry dock at Kingston. So Edmonds, Kingston. It's the way people commute to Seattle, because the buildings you see kind of there on the hill far in the distance, that's downtown Seattle. And then that's Mount Rainier in the background. And then the last image here, yeah, this is up the road from where I live now. You come, as you're coming out the Key Peninsula Highway, which is the longest dead-end road in the state, and you come up over a hill and go around a little corner, and it comes down toward the Long Branch Marina. And as you pass that corner, if the weather is good and clear, this is what greets you. That is Mount Rainier. On the other side, a Carr Inlet. This is, these people are about 3 miles up the road from me. This is a little marina. And this is a little inlet called Felucci Bay. And then across the way here in the distance you see is where is the mainland, where Tacoma is, and then Mount Rainier out there. So it's kind of why we call it the big fella. So it was, it's 14,411 feet. It's the fourth largest mountain in the contiguous United States. I think the first time it was climbed was in 1870. It's quite the feat. It looks beautiful and clear in some of those pictures, but it is known to change. And now to climate, you have to apply ahead of time, and there's only so many that can be up, and you have to have a guide, and it's pretty restricted because, yeah, it's not exactly safe. And it has more glaciers. Let me see, there was some information I had on it for you guys. Let's see. I think Mount Rainier was first known by the local Salishan speakers as Talol, Tacoma, or Tahoma. In this story, it's the Nisqually term of Tacobet, and it was named by Captain George Vancouver, who named it in honor of his friend. And I have to grab something. I have to show you this book. Oh my gosh. Be right back. Yeah. Oh. Shucks, I knew I forgot to grab something. Important part of tonight's history. So, back on the lavalier. There. See, she jumps back and forth. This is live. This is what we do. Anyway, so, and I think, when was the last time it erupted? Peak. Can't remember when. But well, fiddly-dee. Thought I knew that. It's been a while since it erupted, but it is still an active volcano. So, we have a bunch here. We have Mount St. Helens, we have Mount Baker, we have Mount Rainier, and Mount Adams, I think, is pretty dormant. Helen, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that. I can't remember. But Adams, the Baker is the one that you see puffing little smoke all the time, and it has little vents going. Mount St. Helens blew its top when it did in 80. So who knows? But hi, Sammy. He's here too. Sammy Superstar's here. Yay. Marla, welcome. Welcome, Marla. Nice to have you here. And Sammy is here. Hey, good to have you here, bud. So, like I said, tonight's story is called The Miser on the Mountain. And the thing about this story is, I'm going to show you just the book first so you can see this. And the reason I have this one here, so this is a retelling by Nancy Luenn. And Nancy actually lives in Yakima, which is the town I grew up. She lives there now. And I've met her several times. I have several of her books, and she does amazing story work with Indian legends and with science stories and connecting them. And then Pierr, oh my gosh, Pierr, I've known Pierr for ages, and I've lost contact with her for now, and I've found out what she's doing now, and I'll have to show you that. But here's an interesting thing about this book, The Miser on the Mountain. It says that this legend is part of an oral tradition of the Nisqually Indian tribe. Legends like this one teach values, the right way to live. Generosity and giving thanks are central to tribal life. The miser's tale is told as an example of the wrong way to behave. Hamachu, the grandson of the miser, told Theodore Winthrop his story in 1853. The first printed version appeared in Winthrop's book Canoe and Saddle. Other retellings are found in Indian Legends of the Pacific Northwest. I just happened to have this book. I think I've had this. It was $1.95. I think I've had this since college because Bob and I both took a anthropology class on Northwest Coast Indian art and an art history and anthropology class. So, and that, it's the story I'm going to read is in here. All of these are legends right here. Miser on the Mountain, on Mount Rainier. And so that was done in 1953, and then Where the Waters Begin, the traditional Nisqually Indian history of Mount Rainier. The Nisqually Indian name for Mount Rainier is Takobet. Traditional Nisqually believe the great mystery breathed a spirit into every aspect of nature. They view the snowfields and glaciers of Takobet as a sacred place, home of the spirits. And for those of us who live up here with that beautiful mountain part of our everyday life, it's always, oh, the big fella's out today, or Mount Rainier's out. It's a big deal. You know kind of what your day is going to be like if Mount Rainier is out or not. But Nancy and Pierre have done a wonderful job in this book. And I was just going to show you a little bit of the things about them, because I always like to share about the authors. You know that. So here we'll go to, oops, something started to sing. So Nancy Luenn is an artist and an author. She says she grew up in an untidy house full of books, cats, and children. They didn't have a television, and so her mother read aloud to us each evening, and after I learned to read, I read hundreds of books. The books I liked best were magical ones like The Hobbit and stories about animals. They created stories together, the things that she did. They dressed up and put on plays for the family. And as she grew older, she learned to play with words instead. In high school, she kept a journal and she wrote poetry, and then she started writing books for children. She discovered she knew a lot about writing because the books had already read in the game she played as a child. She started writing books one summer while she was in college, and after 3 years of writing stories and having them rejected, her first book, The Ugly Princess, was accepted. She went on and wrote The Dragon Kite and Nessa's Fish, which is one that's in my stack over here to read to you. And Nessa's story grew out of that. Arctic Unicorn, Otter Play, they went on and on. So she's taken it, she just has just beautiful things. You can look at her stuff. She grew up in LA, but now she was living in Yakima when she wrote The Miser on the Mountain. Now she's up on Whidbey, Helen. Oh my goodness. And she's making quilts. Huh. Wow. That's pretty cool. That's awesome. I bet you she shows up and does book selling. Hey, book shows up there. That's pretty cool. Now Pierre. Okay, Pierre's changed a lot. She's done a whole lot of different things. And I wanted to show you some of the things that she's done because, well, first I'm going to show you the gallery. The first time I got a book from Pierre, I don't know if it was the squiggle there or an earlier book that she might have done that was a board book for the girls when they were little. But The Squiggle is by Carol Alexis Schaefer, and Carol lives in Woodinville. And so, you know, a lot of these books are by Carol. And so she's done this like dragon dancing. Oh my gosh, that's such a cool book. Kids in the Kitchen is a Nellie Edge. Nellie Edge is a person who puts together curriculum type books. And so Pierre has done tons of children's books. And The 9 Days of Wonder I have, that's The Bells of Santa Lucia. Oh my gosh, Supper for Crow is amazing. She's done covers for Ladybug magazine. Sometimes Moon. And then she's gone into artwork where she's drawing, I'm just having fiddles today. There we go. My headphones don't want to stay in my ears. So she's been doing some painting and whatnot, but she's done this other thing that I thought she started. It's called handstands. And so for you guys that are doing all the different, like Angie looked up the sumei and she's done such a cool job. In her shop, she has these things called handstands. And they're used for like holding glasses or rings or jewelry. And she sews them. And it's just this beautiful fabric art that she does. And each one is different. And she's been making those now for like, I think it's 13 years or so. She lives in Spokane now. So that's probably why I've lost track of her. Because we don't live in we used to both live in Kirkland. And I would run into her all the time in downtown Kirkland at the bookstore there. And of course, bookstores, that's where we would find each other. And, you know, she'd be doing a book signing or else just working. She worked at the bookstore part-time too. And so I'd go hang out and have coffee and breakfast and stuff like that. It was fun. Anyway, the art in this book today, let me go back to, so the art in this book, I think she's done in some of them, it's a combination because Pierre tends to work in multimedia. And she would use oil pastels, just like amazing way to use oil pastels. And then she would add watercolor to them. In some of these pictures, I think that that's what the combination is. I've looked further to see what it had, but I couldn't find exactly. But from the look of it all, it looks like it is watercolor and oil pastel. Pretty cool, huh? Okay. Losing it again. This is driving me crazy. I might have to give in and get those kind of things that hang over your ears. Oh, gosh. Wouldn't that be awesome? All right. Eyes are on the mountain. You guys ready? Let's see who's checked in. Oh, 8 degrees to go skating on the street. Oh, Deirdre, I love it. I want to do there. I want to come to Alberta and do that. Yes. Oh my goodness. Cheers, everyone. Oh my gosh. Just have the hot chocolate ready so you can just zap it from when you're done. All right. 5 degrees here at your place, Gloria, in the morning. Oh, well, whew. Oh my goodness. We've been about 38, 39. Excuse me. Not too cold, but you know, still chilly. That's okay. Binging Marvel stuff on Disney streaming. I had Lachlan here yesterday, and he and I watched Winnie the Pooh for about an hour. It was pretty fun. Audiobooks on YouTube? I did not know that. Yeah, really, Joanne, I'm thinking the same thing. Really? Thank you, Janice. Thank you for that. It's Mount Rainier is something else. So, all right, you guys. You guys have been chatting. I am going to get going for this story because it is a little bit longer story, but not completely. It's Native American legends have such layers to them and so many different lessons and stories and character type of things, and we used to have part of the curriculum for fourth graders is the Washington State history. So there is a gentleman here that's part of the Tulalip tribe, and he is an amazing storyteller. So he would come every year to our school, and since the only place big enough to have all the fourth graders together was in my library, I got to host him in the library. And he would tell these wonderful stories, and he had the drums, and oh my gosh, it was just, if you ever get a chance to take making a drumming workshop, to make a drum or do a drumming ceremony, there's nothing quite like it. And so, Janet, I would love to see your pictures. No, Mount Rainier is in the Cascade Range. So on the coast, to the west of me, is the Olympic Range. Then you come across the Olympics, and you head east and across the Sound and past Seattle, and you'll run into the Cascade Range. And then Cascades, and you get into eastern Washington, and you cross all of eastern Washington, and you make it to end of Washington, and you get to the foothills, and you're going into Idaho, you get to the foothills of the Rockies, and then you're in the Rockies. So that's where we are. So Mount Rainier is in the Cascades. If you start at Epic, Canada, you have Mount Baker, then you have Glacier Peak, then you have Mount Rainier, then you have Mount St. Helens, then you have Mount Adams, and then you go to Oregon and you have Mount Hood. And then there's like 7 in Oregon, and I can never get them straight which way they are. They're huge also. So wonderful mountains. Okay, time for story. The Miser on the Mountain. Get your beverage. Cuddle up. And here we go. A Nisqually legend of Mount Rainier. And if I apologize right off the bat if I get some of the pronunciations right. I was able to find a tribal pronunciation guide for a couple of words, but many of them not so much. Retold by Nancy Luenn, illustrations by Pierr Morgan. And I read you the author's note earlier. In a valley below the great mountain, Tacobit, there once lived a man named Latsut, who loved Hayakawa. He loved those barter shells, that Hayakawa, more than anything else in his life. He filled baskets and boxes and caches and shells, but he still wanted more. Latsut had a powerful totem, the elk. And so he was skilled as a hunter. His arrows flew straight, his fish spears were deadly, his food cache was full. Yet he never gave a feast, as was the village custom. "Feasting is wasteful," he said. "Those who feast will soon have empty bellies." When others had emptied their caches, he traded dried meat for Hayakawa. Men called him Miser, the one with clenched hands. Women said, "Greedy Latsut. He won't give his wife enough shells for a necklace." Latsut did not care what they said. He thought only of gathering treasure. One day, Latsut hunted an elk on the slopes of Tacobit. Bright snow on the mountainside dazzled his mind with a vision. The elk he stalked turned. It spoke with the voice of the spirit. "Are you brave?" asked Elk. "Do you dare seek my wealth that is hidden?" "I dare," said Latsut. "I dare anything for Hayakawa." "Then listen," said Elk. "Climb great Tacobit and learn the true meaning of wealth. Taut as the string of a bow, Latsut listened. Seek for the lake at the summit. Find the 3 stones shaped like salmon, camas, and elk. Dig at the foot of your totem. Camas is a wild asparagus. It's also called wild hyacinth, but it's in the asparagus family. I looked that up. The miser went home to prepare. He said nothing of where he was going. Only a crazy man climbed the white slopes of Tacobet. Powerful spirits lived there. He told his wife that he planned to go hunting. Becca, he said, I need food for my journey. Go and dig camas. While she was out in the meadow, Latsut carved 2 ice picks from elk horns. At sunset, he filled a skin bag with dried fish and camas bulbs and from his wife's basket. Then, saying goodbye to his family, he set out to hunt for great wealth. He was much too impatient to wait until the morning. All night and the following day, Latsut moved along familiar forest paths. When night came again, he reached the cold edge of a snowfield. The night was too dark now to guide him. He huddled in what shelter he could find. Shivering, the miser dozed, afraid to light a fire that might beckon hostile spirits. The white moon rose and lit his way. The firm snow was easy to climb, but his path steepened. Great chasms appeared. Latsut searched for bridges to cross. He skirted an ice fall, finding a cliff he could climb. As he climbed, fear snatched the air from his chest. The bitter stone rasped his cold fingers. Fighting fear with bright thoughts of Hayakawa, he ascended the snowfield beyond. Suddenly the snow collapsed. Latsut dropped into a crevasse. Heart-lurching, he dangled there up to his armpits, emptiness under his toes. Using his ice picks like claws, he pulled himself free. Head throbbing, he kept climbing. Icy air gnawed at his face. His legs burned with each upward step. A wiser man would have turned back, but Latsut struggled on. Okay. Challenge. Fluid artists. Do this. Wow. So pretty. Look at the elk. Do you see the elk horn? Let's go back up at this one. Did you see the elk horn here at the top of Mount Rainier on that one? And here's the elk horns. At sunrise, he reached the summit. There in the valley of snow was the lake. Latsut ran and slid to its shore. The dark water trembled. He heard curious sounds, like huge animals breathing. Latsut paid no attention. His gaze was fixed on a tall standing stone, shaped like the head of a salmon. The first of the signs, thought Latsut. Beyond stood a stone like a ripe camas bulb. The miser rushed past it. The last stone was shaped like the head of an elk. He knelt at its base and dug into the snow. When his pick scraped the snow, he heard a loud shoof. Latsut spun around. An enormous otter slid out of the lake. It was almost as large as a man. Behind it came 12 more huge otters. They formed a wide circle around him and watched every motion. Latsut was uneasy, but still he kept digging, determined to find the Hayakawa. The otters thumped their tails upon the snow. The miser dug through the snow and rock, When he set down his ice pick to rest, the largest otter struck him with its tail. Each of the otters struck him in turn, knocking him, sprawling him. A sensible man would have fled. Latsut simply groped for his ice pick. The otters retreated. Determined, the miser kept digging. The otters kept thumping the snow. They circled around him closer and closer until he could feel their warm breath. He moved a piece of rock so thin it crumbled in his fingers. Beneath was a cavity filled with hayakawa. He thrust in his arms in up to his shoulders. There was no bottom. There was no end to the treasure. Look at that. Oh my gosh. He pulled out long strings of precious hayakawa. He wrapped 4 strings around his waist, draped 3 strings of shells on each shoulder, and clutched 5 more strings in each hand. Staggering to his feet, he knew he could carry no more. I will return, thought Latsut, for more treasures. He waddled away, a man with no manners. He offered no gift to the mountain. He left nothing to thank his own totem. The spirits awoke in a rage. The otters beat a warning with their tails. A cloud boiled up out of the lake, dark with the anger of spirits. I must hurry, thought Latsut. As he descended, the clouds spilled out over the mountain. An icy wind howled all around him. Latsut clung to his treasure. I found it, he thought. This hayakawa is mine. Ha! Hayakawa! Jeered the spirit of the wind, hurling Latsut into a snowbank. Struggling free, Latsut tossed 5 strings in its face. Take these, but you'll not have the others. He bounded down the mountain like a goat. His fear of crevasses was nothing compared to his fear of the spirits. Next he heard the puffing of the otters on his trail. Panicked, he dropped 5 more strings. The curious otters gave up the chase, stopping to play with the shells. Latsut hurried on. Ha-ha-ha-kwa! bellowed the spirits of wind, snow, and thunder. Latsut tried to bargain. Take 3 more, but let me keep the rest. He offered the strings from one shoulder. The spirits were suddenly quiet. With their next howl, Latsut was thrown over a cliff. He lay on the snow, bruised and bleeding. What does this wealth matter now? The miser thought, groaning. He shrugged the hayakawa from his throbbing shoulder. Still groaning, he got to his feet. The storm calmed, and it seemed that the spirits relented. Limping, Latsut crossed the last snowfield unhindered. He saw the dark shelter of forest below. Then the ground shook. The whole mountain roared. Ah, ha, hayakawa! Is wealth more important than life? Wondered Latsut. He dropped to his knees and offered the shells from his waist. Take what is yours, great Takobet. With the last of his strength, he crawled past the edge of snow. There, he collapsed in deep slumber. Elk guarded his sleep and built a snug lodge of branches and lichen around him. Snow fell and melted, and seasons turned round, but Latsut slumbered on. At last a day came when Latsut heard the call of a jay. He crawled out of the lodge and welcomed the morning. To his surprise, his bruises were gone. Where his skin had been torn, he had only faint scars. His long hair was white as the mountain. Look how the spirits have changed me. I have grown old in the night." He thought of his journey and smiled. "What a fool I have been, and here I sit now, empty-handed." Grateful for life, he admired the day. Every stone gleamed in the sunlight. High above floated the mountain. The miser felt rich, although his Hayakawa was gone. "It is time to return to my family." He started toward home, impatient to see them. To his amazement, the forest had changed. Huge trees had fallen, blocking the trail. The young trees were taller than he was. "How many seasons have passed while I slept?" Latsut did not wait for an answer. He was entranced by the forest. "Such beauty," he mused. "How precious life is." Near sunset the following day, Latsut arrived home. A wealthy old woman sat tending the fire. Although she had changed, Latsut knew her. "Becca!" he cried. "What has happened?" "Old man, I am glad you are home. Sit down beside me and have some boiled salmon." As he ate, Becca explained, "You have been gone many years. Our children are grown now and have their own children. Yet all of these years I have waited, certain that you would return." "What a treasure you are," said Latsut. He was glad she had waited so long, and he was ashamed. He had left her to care for their children alone. He wept for the years he had lost in his quest for Hayakawa. In autumn, Latsut gave a feast for the tribe. He told them the tale of his journey. "Takobit has taught me the meaning of wealth. It is here in the elk and the deer, in the laughter of children. It is in the salmon and cedar. Wealth is the warmth of a fire, the water that quenches my thirst. It is the smiles on your faces." Thank you for listening to this old man and accepting his gifts. Everyone saw how the mountain had changed him. They welcomed him home. Others began to ask his advice, for he had grown wise, and Latsut was content, rich with the love of his people. And that is the story of the miser on the mountain. Now, little treat added to this. So that, as she said, is a story that has been handed down. Here in the opening of this book, right here, that was like published in 1953, I think. The Legends of the Pacific, 1953. On this one, it has a beginning opening to it, and it tells a little background about this. And it says, in 1853, Theodore Winthrop journeyed through the Northwest by canoe and on horseback. In his record of his trip, he included this legend of Mount Rainier, which an old Nisqually Indian told him at Fort Nisqually. This fort, a post of the Hudson Bay Company, was situated not far from the present city of Tacoma. The old storyteller, Hamachu, said that he had heard the tale from his father. His father had heard it from his father. Long before his father had heard it from his father, long before white men were seen on Puget Sound. Hamachu's grandfather was the great medicine man who had had this strange experience on the mountain. "But now, alas," said Hamachu, "I have no son to bear the tale. I grow old, and lest this wisdom die with me, I tell the tale to you. May you and your people not scorn the lesson of an earlier age, but profit from it and be wise. The storytelling, the richness of the oral traditions. Oh my gosh. It's just, you know, as she said in here, that the original was in Winthrop's book, Canoe and Saddle. Theodore Winthrop, he heard the story from Hamachu, who'd heard it from his father, who had heard it from his father. And his grandfather had been the one who had had this experience and was the wise man, medicine man. Now, this is very close to me. Literally, I live probably a mile off of what's called Nisqually Reach at the southern tip of the Key Peninsula. That when I showed you that picture of the Mount Rainier looking across, that was looking toward Carr Inlet. And Carr Inlet goes down south around and then wraps, and it hits the Nisqually wetlands and kind of curves around the southern tip of the Key Peninsula, and that's called the Nisqually Reach. And then it curves around, and Case Inlet is on the west side. So literally, the inlet, the Key Peninsula is like this, and on the east side is Carr Inlet. And then the west side is Case Inlet, and the Nisqually Reach is right down here, and it's all part of the tribal. Actually, is part of the tribal reservation is down here in the Nisqually Reach. It's a pretty amazing area. So, anyway, hi Kristen, nice to have you here. Oh my gosh, last erupted 1450. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you. Yeah, they keep pretty good track of it. But that's why we have it's fairly amusing to. I've had friends that I had a friend who came up from. He lived in Fort Lauderdale. He was a makeup artist too, and he came over here up to do a training with me up here. And we took him out places, and there's signs in places along the coast and in other areas that are like tsunami escape routes for if there's anything that happens, or there's a Mount Rainier, there's other kind of, volcanic eruption routes where to go and what not to do. So it's people who are not used to seeing those kind of signs, it kind of surprises them. Kristen, yay, goodness. Okay, so I'm just checking here. Yay. What everybody else had to say. You guys are all checking in with each other. So we've had a really beautiful day up here, but we had a really beautiful day with Angie's live, and I know there's been some other people. If you guys have anything coming up, lives, or you're going to do a premiere, or you do a regular show, put it in the chat. And if you have a channel, make sure you put it out there so that we can know and everybody else can follow along. 26 on Sunday morning in Orlando? Oh my gosh. Of course, Nathan's in the muggy hot land down there in Australia and humid. Okay. And Joanne's got snow. Oh my goodness. Oh, yeah. So actually, Olympia is just, you're right, Janet. It's, so Seattle, if you're on the mainland, it's Seattle, Tacoma, and then you run through the Nisqually Reach and through JBLM, or down through there, and then Olympia, which is at the southern tip of Puget Sound. I'm in a peninsula that sticks down into Puget Sound, but there's like 11 miles of water in between myself and Olympia. Like, I look across to Johnson Point, which is part of Olympia, and whenever I Google anything, it always tells me to go to Olympia. That would require having a boat, launching it, going in, Yeah, nope, not going to do it. I'll drive around. I'll go find Dayton, Ohio. All right. So, everybody, I'm hoping that you enjoyed that story. It looks like everybody had a good time with it. The Native American stories and the artwork, that is a whole other area of art to explore. Along the coast here, between Oregon all the way up through Alaska, if you look back at the Northwest Coast Indian art, you can actually tell which tribe things were, the artists were from, based on the colors that they might have used, like in their tertiary areas on their paintings and on their carvings, based on what kind of plants they had and whether they were inland or on the water. Some of them used yellow, others didn't, because they didn't have yellow as a plant base to use as a paint. So they would use green or a different kind of blue. And the shape of an ovoid in the earlier art changed with different tribes. And it's a really fascinating area of study. My husband and I both really, really enjoyed that. So yes, here's the challenge. I put it out there. That is the picture. Navy and black and white and a little bit of purple. At least I would call it navy. You guys always had names, the color names that are in fluid art always amaze me. They're just like those are not what I grew up with, naming colors, with my mom being a weaver. So yeah, the otters. You swim like well, at least you float, Nathan. I love it. Okay, just checking here to see. Oh, Joanne, you swam a mile? Oh, I wish I could still swim that far, but that's okay. Nothing wrong with floating, you bet. Yeah, the abstract of her art is beautiful. And in this one, like, you can see the combination. In her book, The Squiggle, it is very much done with oil pastels. And I know Pierr's work enough to know that some of her, the strokes that she does, that's why I think it's a combination in some of it. And so, like, yeah, this is very much looking oil pastel in some areas that she might have done some watercolor wash with too. Okay, you guys, I have kept you for nearly an hour and you have suffered through it. And I thank you for being here and enjoying this. And if you hit the thumbs up button, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. You guys, somebody said to do that. And just share this with whoever you know who might like a story. It's kind of fun to sit here and share this story and have a great time. I've got a whole stack coming up. And tomorrow I will probably be a babbling case of funness because tomorrow I am going to go see. Oops, why does I keep getting sound on something? See my book up there, kind of in the back with the that's a book on Imogen Cunningham. And there is an exhibit at the Seattle Art Museum, and I made reservations for us to go. She is an amazing female photographer that lived here in Seattle, and she was in the 20s and 30s. She was part of the whole F-64. And her work is, oh my gosh. She was considered quite risque, and actually not, because she was the first woman, well, she photographed nudes, but she didn't photograph women nudes. She photographed men nudes. And you can imagine what a scandal that caused in the 20s and 30s. And because she was, she even did self-portraits of herself in the nude when she was in her 80s, which was pretty amazing. And but her other work of people and all kinds of stuff, she's just, oh my gosh. So I'm going to see that tomorrow morning. Yay! So I'll be very excited. Yes. Okay, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hearing the story and enjoying this work. Check out Pierr's website there. She's got a gallery on her Etsy, and then Nancy's website too. They're both in the description, so you can see more of their work. And this will not be the last story I read of either of them. Song of the Ancient Forest is a book I love so much. I have 2 copies. What does that tell you? Oh my gosh. All right, everybody. So thank you so much for being here. It's been a delight. Take care of yourselves and look for the beauty hidden in plain sight. It's all around you. Up, down, around, under, and inside. So go look in the mirror to find it first and have a wonderful evening. I'll see you next time.